We're going to dive in now to some potential Dallas Cowboys trade candidates. Oftentimes I get asked, hey, what about trading this player for that or moving this player? So I figured we put it all in one video, try to get to all the potential guys the Cowboys could trade and answer some questions on some guys who aren't going to end up getting dealt. But unlike most years, even last year, not that many great trade chips for the Cowboys. The number one, I'd argue by a massive margin, is actually Michael Gallup. He is the Cowboys' best trade chip because he is young, he is productive, and he is cheap. So if you're looking to move on from somebody in that range and get actual value back, Michael Gallup fits that mold. Now, you don't have to move on from him. If you were to do so, you'd save a little over $2.4 million. It's not about the cap savings. This one would be about the draft pick or player you get back in exchange. This time last year, I didn't want to move Gallup because it was a future problem. This year, I am open to the discussion, but you need to get something good back. There's no reason to bail on Gallup for nothing. In reality, you're probably going to get a third or a fourth round comp pick, plus a year of having him on your roster. So there's no reason to take anything less than that. In fact, you probably want more than just that. I want a good defensive player and or a good draft pick. So let me know in the comments. You guys can play GM. You can make it a player or a draft pick value here, whichever is easier for you. What would you guys want back in a trade for Michael Gallup in the event you moved on? Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Now, many of you before have been like, Amari Cooper, which is fine, especially if you want to pay Michael Gallup, and his contract is very movable. You save $14 million by trading him right now. Pretty good savings right there. You can do a lot with that. But he had a great year without Dak Prescott. And in the end, even if I get a first-round pick back, receiver is now one of my screaming needs. I'm just going to keep Amari Cooper. This is a number one receiver who put up over 1,100 yards with Dalton and Ben DiNucci playing the majority of his games. Yikes. Like, if I'm the Cowboys, even though, yeah, I could save money by moving on from Cooper, I'm keeping him. He's awesome. He is a legitimate number one receiver. So, yeah, it was Ben DiNucci for one game and Dalton for most of them. And Garrett Gilbert. Thank you, producer Methuselah. I'm going to keep Amari Cooper. But I'm going to let you guys get your votes in here as we get to some more players. Who do you guys want to trade away? Hopefully I'll answer at least most of your responses here. But I'm going to make this question the pinned comment on today's video. Who do you guys want to trade away and get some assets for if you're the Cowboys? Let's go to Dorance Armstrong, who I'm trying to speak it into existence. Somebody or somebodies really liked Dorance Armstrong because he kept playing over Bradley and I and Randy Gregory. Now, he's cheap in the last year of his contract, and if he's your number 4 edge and he's cheap, you're fine. I don't know how much value he carries because he's not a good pass rusher. Now, his pressure rate exploded at the back end of the season. He finished with a nice pressure rate, but it's also bad, 6.9%. Fun fact, if you take away his Week 16 game against Philly, his pressure rate is 4.7%. 40% of his pressures came in one game. That's bad. I don't think that carries very much value. Frankly, Dorance Armstrong in the end might actually make more sense of less of a trade right now and more of a it's time to make roster cuts. How about throwing in Dorance Armstrong and get some type of late round pick back? That might make the most sense in the end for Armstrong. You know what else makes some sense? Is making some money on BETUS. Chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code Cowboys125. That URL takes you right into the BETUS site. That promo code gets you a 125% deposit bonus. That is chatsports.com/bet. Promo code is Cowboys125. Once again, I'll let you guys know about some of my picks I got planned this week. I already placed them. Now, the value has actually gone down a bit because the money line, there have been more bets on the Packers and Chiefs, so that value has diminished. I'm thinking Packers over the Bucks, Chiefs over the Bills, the over in terms of the total points scored for Bills-Chiefs, and the under in the Lambeau Cold between Bucks and Packers. parlay bet, you take all 4. If they all hit, you win. If one loses, you don't get any money. $10 to win almost 85. Some pretty good return on investment. And speaking of that, if you want to get even more bang for your buck, email us cowboys@chatsports.com. Once you guys sign up and deposit $100, we'll get you guys a Dak Prescott jersey. That is to email us, cowboys@chatsports.com. If you guys have questions or if you sign up a deposit, whatever it is, I'll put the email in the comments and in the description, and we'll get you guys hooked up with a Cowboys jersey. Only available, though, for new BETUS customers. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code Cowboys125. Speaking of Dak Prescott, he's also on this list today. Now, this only makes sense if you are not going to pay him, which you should do. It shouldn't be a conversation. This, in the end, would have to be a tag and trade decision. And you would expect a lot back in return because this is a young, on the right side of 30, franchise quarterback. Shoot, look at what Jay Cutler went for years ago. Dak's better than Jay Cutler. You would expect a significant return. I'm talking multiple first-round picks and probably some extra picks as well, even if the new team has to pay him. Because the Colts and Patriots are like, yes, please, here are all of our picks. You would love a franchise quarterback. The solution is just to pay Dak Prescott. But if you're not going to do it, then you should trade him. Because the worst-case outcome for the Cowboys is you keep Dak for this year. He plays great on the franchise tag again. You're picking in the late 20s or early 30s in round 1. And Dak says F you and leaves in free agency. And you get a nice, shiny, late third-round comp pick for him. That's a disaster. I say pay him. That's the best solution. You guys can get your votes in here. T for trade, P for pay. But you have a top 10 quarterback. I'm going to keep harping on this until the Cowboys listen to me finally. I told Stephen Jones this to his face at the Combine last year, and he didn't listen. Just get it done. You'll feel better in 2 years when you pay Dak Prescott and you go, oh, all of a sudden, he's not even top 5 highest paid quarterback anymore. Just get it done. It's actually super simple. They're just complicating it because this is what the Cowboys do. Let's go to Anthony Brown now, who got paid last offseason by the Cowboys, but you guys always ask about him, so I wanted to include him here. Anthony Brown is not elite, and that's a very nice way of phrasing the fact that he did not play bad, or did not play well. He played bad this past year for the Dallas Cowboys. The problem here is, even though you save a little under $3 million, you kind of need Anthony Brown, guys, because you got Trevon Diggs and Maurice Kennedy and Rashard Robinson and Chris Westry, who you guys like because he's big and fast, and that's it. Anthony Brown's one of your best corners on the roster right now. So purely from a depth, and if we have to play him perspective, probably better off keeping him, especially since you'd get, I don't know, a third rounder, or not third rounder, like a fifth rounder at best for him. Like, if I can get a third, I'm all in. There's no way a team gives up a third rounder there. So at that point, even though he's kind of expensive a little bit, just keep him to have something on your roster that's not just a depth guy. Now, we're going to keep you guys covering all the Cowboys rumors this offseason. The news, the roster moves, draft stuff, trades if they happen. If you want, coaches too, thank you. If you want to stay up to date, hit that big red button and subscribe today. Now I wanted to get into some of the even more complicated guys to trade. Tyron Smith. There's a fundamental problem with trying to trade Tyron. Two of them, really. Number one, you actually save more if you cut him because you can cut these guys as post-June 1st designation, so you spread the dead money out over 2 years. But you can't do that in a trade because you have to make the deal before the draft. Otherwise, what's the point, right? The only reason that you would want to move on from Tyron Smith, a when healthy elite left tackle, is if you don't think he's healthy. And if you start shopping Tyron Smith, NFL teams are going to go, oh, so there's something wrong with him. So from a logical perspective, you can't do it. Because NFL teams are going to go, the only reason you want to move him is because he's hurt. And you don't think he's ever going to be healthy again. So at that point, why would I want him? So Tyron Smith, talent-wise, should get a first-round pick, if not more than that. But because of the uncertainty around the medicals, and because NFL teams are not as stupid, as the Texans seem to be, they're not going to be like, oh, yeah, sure, we'll take the injured guy you don't want anymore. So it's either a cut or a keep in the end for Tyron Smith, because if you trade him, what are you getting? Something late because he's not healthy? At that point, cut him and get more money, all right? So what do you guys want to do? Do you want to keep Tyron Smith on this team? Type Y for yes, you do, N for no, you don't. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Time for perhaps the most asked about trade this guy. Zeke Elliott. Not going to happen. Mostly because, A, he's expensive for both the Cowboys and the new team. If you trade Zeke before the NFL draft, which is what you would do to get a draft pick, right? It costs you an extra $1.2 million in cap space. What draft pick is worthwhile adding money to your organization when you're already tight on it? Not a whole lot, right? Like, it would have to be a whole lot. And on top of that, I'm genuinely asking this question. What NFL team wants to trade for Zeke Elliott and owe him about $12 million per year over 6 years? Now, it's only a 2-year commitment because you can cut him after that. But what NFL team goes, yes, Cowboys, here's a valuable draft pick since you have to eat cap space to trade Zeke, and we're going to take on Zeke's contract that's 6 years, almost $75 million. There isn't one out there. Maybe you try and go Urban and the Jags. Probably not anyway, because they got a back who was just as good as Zeke was this year. There's just no way. So for those asking about Zeke, the answer is no. I'm sorry. Moving now to Jaylon Smith. And the answer here is probably not. And mostly because you might be able to get something for Jaylon Smith, but it's also a value perspective. If you cut Jaylon Smith as a June 1st designation, it's a salary cap move, you save $7.2 million. If you trade him before the draft, which is what you would want to get that draft pick, right? You save less than $500,000. Wouldn't you rather have the $7 million to go sign somebody or to free it up to sign someone later than what is probably going to be a late round draft pick? So from that perspective, you could move Jaylon if you wanted to. It's not about the money per se that you would save, but the savings you're missing out on. I don't think Jaylon Smith has that much value around the NFL, because any organization that's not stupid, and that's about 31 of them, would go watch the film and go, oh no, this was bad. Why are we trading for him and paying him? So from that perspective, it's just unlikely. So the two Smiths and Zeke, I know they're big names and some of you want to move on from them. It's just not going to make the most sense in the end.